Rosemary House. Today is July 19, 2019, and I am interviewing ArlynSiedel at the Newkirk Public Library. Okay. What motivated you to join the military?
To get off the farm. I wanted to get off the farm, and that's the only way I knew how to do it at that time. And folks helped me get in and started out in the military. July of 1960.
Okay. Tell me a little about your time in basic training.
Basic training, it was horrible until it was all over with. And then when you sit back after you finish your basic training and look back, it got to be fun. The best part about it was there was 8 of us farm boys in there, and the rest of them were all city, out of New York and Chicago and those areas, and they couldn't keep up with us.
What was your primary job after training?
After training, I was a wheel vehicle mechanic for 6 years, and then I went to track vehicles, artillery, heavy guns, and then after the last 3 years, I was an instructor down at Fort Sill on the automotive side of the howitzers.
Okay. Were you deployed? If so, where and why? And for what?
Okay. My first deployment was to Korea after my AIT, which advanced training. I went through mechanic school. And I was over there for 13 months. And you want me to continue on where my other places were? Okay. I come back, and I went back to Fort Benning, Georgia, where I went to school and ended up being an instructor for 3 years. And then from there I went to Germany, and I was in a howitzer battalion over there for almost 3 years, and come back to the States and went to Fort Riley, Kansas. And I was there for about 6 months, and we were training to be deployed to Vietnam. And we had all our equipment and everything on the airplanes, and we was flying over, and they had a stop in Alaska, and they changed our orders and sent us to Thailand. And none of us on the plane knew where Thailand was, but we've known it, used to know it as Siam. And we got involved there with an engineer outfit building they called it the Inland Road Project, from the Gulf of Siam all the way up through Cambodia. And then from there I went back to Fort Sill, and I was in the 3rd of the 18th Field Artillery Battalion, and I had 26 guns to maintain. And then from there, after, I think I was there 5 years, and went back to Germany, and then come back right back to Fort Sill. And I went to the training command there, and there we had 69 howitzers we had to maintain, which was a pretty good job because they were using them every day for training. So that's where the howitzer training was conducted for all the new recruits.
Okay. What was the most demanding part about your deployment?
Demanding part?
Yes, what was the most
the first
demanding
time,
part about your deployment?
there was not much of a demand on me. I was single and all that kind of stuff. My second deployment was the family couldn't come with us. That was kind of stressful. But then after that, boy, I had no combat time or anything like that, so I was all right that way.
Where did you serve the majority of your time?
Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
What rank are you most proud of to have earned, and why?
Warrant officer. I was an E7, then I applied for warrant. Once you for warrants, you're considered the, how should I say this, the expert in that field. And you just, over everyone else, just to make sure that they know what they're doing and doing the right job, repairing stuff the way they should and all that. And as a warrant, I had 3 batteries underneath me, and also had in the batteries there was 9 guns in each battery.
Okay. Which medal or citations are you most honored to have received, and why?
The 4 Army Accommodation Medals, had 4 of them, and the best one was the Meritorious Service Medal.
Tell me about some of the special people you met.
I had a battalion commander when I was in the 3rd of the 18th Artillery that he would come down, the motor pool, that's where we did all of our work, and he'd come down there and say something and tell you you was doing it wrong. And you better tell him that he was wrong, because he knew he was wrong. But he wanted to make sure you'd stand up to him. And when he relinquished his command, they have what they call a pass and review. And you're standing out there in front of your troops, and he stopped his Jeep, got out and come over and slapped me across the shoulder and says, "Keep up the good work."
What was the best and worst military food you were served, and why?
C rations. 'Cause like Don said, you don't know what's in there. And we had a cook that when we was all together, he would take the C rations and mix it up somehow, all kinds of food, and mix it. And it turned out to be real good food. Had better flavors. Because if you heated a can of C rations, there was no taste to it at all. It was just bland.
What was the best military food you were served, and why?
I'd have to say steaks or pork chops. And why it was the best, because it was a treat to get it, because we didn't have it that often. We weren't like the Air Force. We didn't get all that good food.
Tell me a funny story you experienced that could only happen in the military.
I'd been back in the States about 2.5 years when I come back from Thailand. And on the news one night, they said on the news, first American troops to set foot in Cambodia. And it makes you want to stop and think, well, where was you at? But we were in Cambodia. And news media had us down as no troops had ever been in there, and we'd been in there 2 years earlier. That's part of that secret stuff.
How does your military experience affect your life today?
I would say knowledge from what you learned in there through other people. You might outrank the other people, but that guy below you, he might have a better idea to do something, and you learn off of them also. It's not just what you say. You go by the regulations, but they might have another way of going about doing it and coming out with the same answer.
Mm-hmm.
Like math.
I guess that's the last question.
Pardon?
That's the last question.
Oh, that was the last question? Well, you didn't.
Are there any other stories that you'd like to share that we didn't ask about?
No. My time in the service was pretty routine. You get right down to it. I did fly over Vietnam twice, 3 times. Well, I guess I could say too that when I was stationed there, we were stationed close to Corot, where their air base was at, and where they flew out of their missions. And pilots were always talking to us, telling us, "You want to go on for a ride with us?" Well, like a dummy, we decided to do it on a bombing mission. It was not a good deal. The plane got hit, but it made it back in.
Thank you for your service.
Oh, well,
and
thank
it was
you.
a pleasure to meet
Yeah.
you.